Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. For today's video, we have to unfortunately talk about immigration because just the other day I came across this post from 6Buzz TV saying the Trudeau government announces that people born outside of Canada will get automatic citizenship if one parent has been in Canadian for 3 years. Now, of course, this is Twitter. I wasn't sure if this was true or not. However, there was an announcement, and this is Mark Miller saying exactly that.
Under the new legislation, children born abroad to a Canadian citizen who is also born outside Canada will be a Canadian citizenship from birth if their parent can demonstrate they have a substantial connection to Canada. As long as a Canadian parent who was born outside of Canada has accumulated 3 years of time spent in Canada before the birth of the child, they'll be able to pass down their citizenship to their child. Finally, we wanted to take this opportunity to continue to minimize differential outcomes as much as possible for children born abroad and adopted by Canadians compared to children born to Canadians.
Now, it's absolutely mind-blowing that Mark Miller thinks that this is a good idea. And in this announcement, they're trying to focus on lost Canadians, what they're calling lost Canadians, which are people who already have family and generations that have been Canadian. These individuals, maybe they moved to the States or they moved overseas, they had a child, and they're trying to get their child to have Canadian citizenship, yet are denied. I think that those people should indeed have their Canadian citizenship, especially if their parents are Canadians. And again, I'm not against immigration. My parents were immigrants. All of my family basically are immigrants outside of the generation that was born here. All my friends, their parents are immigrants. I work with immigrants. I have nothing against immigration. I wouldn't be here today if it wasn't for it. But there has to be a proper process. And this is just going to open up a can of worms in terms of immigration and immigrants, in particular with the crisis that we're having with housing and the influx of immigrants coming from all over, but in particular India. And the reason I bring up India is because that's all we're seeing right now in the media is all of these protests from these, especially students in PEI. There's a lot of coverage of that, of these international students or people on visas that are demanding the government to give them permanent residence or extend their visas, even though their visas have now expired. Now, I haven't seen any mainstream media or legacy media, whatever you want to call it, covering this topic. I've seen Rebel News, True North, and there's been some Indian news coverage on this whole situation. But if you don't know what I'm talking about, here's a little bit of a clip.
We were here long before rules were implemented, and the reason we are here is because we demand that we need to be grandfathered, as we were unaware that this would have happened. This is the reason why the protest is here.
What would you say to people that claim you guys are just here on a temporary work visa, you don't have the right to stay? What would you say to those people?
So I would say to those people, why were we deducted the CPP, the Canada Pension Plan, at the very first paycheck? Why are we deducted the CPP on every paycheck after the first paycheck that we are going to get after 60 years of age?
Education, we spend a lot of money to rent as well, so we have the right to stay here.
Everyone is working, everyone is paying tax, so everyone has equal and fair rights to show in this country.
We are not trying to oppose the government, we are just trying them to do the fair thing.
Now, something to take from this is these guys keep talking about how they pay taxes, they should be Canadians then, or what's the point of paying taxes? It's because you're in a foreign country. No matter where you are, if you're working or you're living in a foreign country, you're going to have to pay taxes. If I moved to India as a student and I was working there, I'd have to pay taxes in India. That's how it works. And this other clip has been going quite viral on Twitter as well, but that same individual, that taller gentleman who's kind of like the main spokesman, and this is what he had to say about the tuition fees.
And my friends who work from here, he paid $2,500 for same course for 2 semesters, for 8 months. How fair is that, sir? This is where I'm coming from, what I paid extra. How interesting is that? All together I paid around $30,000 for my tuition. For same schooling fee, a person who is born and raised in Canada paid around $10,000. That $20,000, whether it led me to the country, but that is not a thing, right? Extra $20,000. for same thing and still suffering? How unfair is that?
And let me tell you that, yeah, that sucks. $20,000 extra for the same course, it definitely sucks. But you knew that when you signed up for the course. That's been how the process has been for decades. International students pay more to come to our country to use the facilities, the education, everything. If I, as an individual, went to the US, I would be considered a foreign student or international student. And as a Canadian learning in the US, you also have to pay double the tuition fees, or if not 2.5 times more, whatever it's definitely more than what an American would have to pay. So it's not oh, we're picking on Indians and woe is me, how come I have to pay more just because I'm not Canadian? That's how it is for everybody. I'm sure if I went and I was an international student in India, I'd probably have to pay more as well. And this announcement is very concerning because not only does this mean that the Liberals and the NDP are on board with this, we've also seen videos of Pierre actually being on board with this when he was at a rally saying that we need more international students, we need them to come in right here.
They come along and say that that the Trudeau government is going to kick the students out of Canada. The solution is obvious. End the deportations, allow everyone who applied honestly but who was defrauded to continue to keep their work or study permit, and allow them to apply just like everyone else to become permanent residents. That's what I'm calling for. Stop the deportations. Listen, we have a worker shortage in Canada. We have a demographic problem. Our population is too old. We need 700 young people. We need 700 young people to work in our factories, in our hospitals, in our shopping centers, driving truck, being accountants, lawyers, doctors. We need these workers in our country. It makes no sense for Canada to send them back when they could stay here and earn powerful paychecks and raise their families in peace. So, shame on Justin Trudeau for trying to deport these wonderful students. Stop the deportations. Keep the students here. Allow them to apply just like everyone else for permanent residency.
Now, to me, this is very concerning because we hear Pierre and the Conservatives constantly talking about the housing issue and how there's not enough houses, we need to build more houses, but they don't actually address the immigration process. They never say we need to cap immigration. They don't say we need to reduce it. Not even following the proper processes. They don't say if your visa expires, you gotta go. But that's a problem. You do have to go, because if there was 30 Canadians that were in India and their visas expired, but we said we're gonna go on a hunger strike till you change the laws, that wouldn't work there. You'd get kicked out. But for some reason here, it works. And this is something that we're starting to see with this whole immigration process in regards to the Indian students, where they have this whole plan. You become a student, then you graduate, then you get your permanent residence, or you enter this PNP program, which then you can sponsor your families, and then they get citizenship. This isn't the proper process of becoming a citizen. This is some sort of loophole that they're trying to do. And now with this new announcement from Mark Miller, it sounds like even if you're here just for the 3 years and you've proven that you've been here for 3 years, now you can bring people over. And this whole situation is a little bit more dicey with the Conservatives, because just over a year ago, we had the deputy leader of the Conservative Party coming out saying that he wants to drop the English test for citizenship. And when he was pushed back by the PPC leader, Maxime Bernier, he said, so when you said immigrants won't need a language test anymore under the Conservative government, you are only pandering? Because as he states here, we will maintain the same engagements and commitment for continuous discussion around immigration that is based on family reunification, the recognition of foreign certificates, the scrapping of the English test, as well as the removal of bottlenecks in improving the immigration. He then came on to say, I want to correct the record on the matter of the recent discussion. It is not the policy of the Conservative Party to eliminate existing language testing for immigration to Canada or obtaining citizenship. I have not said that. Yet right here, he was quoted saying the scrapping of the English test. And we don't have to take either one of those words. We can even see during announcements, he's now making announcements in Punjabi, not even one of the official languages of Canada, not French, not English. He's starting it off in Punjabi.
ਸਤਿ ਸ਼੍ਰੀ ਅਕਾਲ ਜੀ ਜਸਟਨ ਟਰੂਡੋ ਦੇ 8 ਸਾਲ ਬਾਅਦ ਵਾਇਲੈਂਟ ਕ੍ਰਾਈਮ ਕੈਨੇਡਾ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਬਹੁਤ ਜ਼ਿਆਦਾ ਵੱਧ ਗਿਆ ਇਹਨਾਂ ਦੇ ਸੌਫਟ ਔਨ ਕ੍ਰਾਈਮ ਪਾਲਿਸੀਜ਼ ਦੇ ਨਾਲ ਇਹਨਾਂ ਨੇ ਜਿਹੜੀ ਬੇਲ ਲੈਣੀ ਸੌਖੀ ਕਰਤੀ ਉਹਦੇ ਨਾਲ ਬਹੁਤ ਜ਼ਿਆਦਾ ਜਿਹੜੇ ਵਾਇਲੈਂਟ ਕ੍ਰਾਈਮ ਇੰਨੇ ਵੱਧ ਗਏ ਵੀ ਆਪਾਂ ਥੋੜ੍ਹੇ ਚਿਰ ਤੋਂ ਇੰਨਾ ਦੇਖਦੇ ਹਾਂ ਵੀ ਜਿਹੜੇ ਐਕਸਟੋਰਸ਼ਨ ਆਪਣੇ ਨੇਬਰਸ 'ਤੇ ਬਿਜ਼ਨਸ ਵਾਲਿਆਂ 'ਤੇ ਉਹ ਇੰਨਾ ਜ਼ਿਆਦਾ ਹੋ ਗਿਆ ਵੀ ਉਹਨਾਂ 'ਤੇ ਬਹੁਤ ਜ਼ਿਆਦਾ ਹੁਣ ਅਟੈਕ ਹੋਣ ਲੱਗ ਗਏ
And this isn't the first time we're seeing this, because not too long ago we actually had the Canadian national anthem sung for the very first time in Punjab at a hockey game.
The first time in NHL history, O Canada will be performed in English and Punjabi.
Hey everybody, post-editing Mike here. Unfortunately, the NHL has hit me with a copyright claim in regards to that video of the national anthem, so I won't be able to play it, but I will leave it a link in the description there so you can check it out yourself. But in the meantime, I figure, why don't we look at how Poland looks at immigration and how they haven't had any problems with it.
Thank you, Mr. President. Dear leftists, I'm very happy to take part in this debate about democracy in Europe. So let me give you some example of very major democracy in Poland, over 1,000 years of tradition of Polish nation. Polish nation rejected you, dear leftists, 8 times. 8 times in a row you have lost elections in Poland. So get used to it, because you're going to lose again. That's number one. Let me give you some data about Poland and Polish democracy. The lowest unemployment in European Union is Poland. The highest GDP after COVID in European Union is Poland. One of the lowest debts in European Union is Poland. So don't give us this rubbish about the need of educated immigration, as we heard yesterday. We don't need your doctors. We don't need your engineers. Take them all and pay for them. We don't need them. You know why? Because there is 0 terrorist attacks in Poland. Why? Because there is no illegal migration in Poland. So don't give me this look. Don't give me these arguments about the populism, because this is a fact. This is your data from Eurostat. So we don't need your engineers. We don't need your doctors. Take them. Do not teach us. Do not teach us about democracy, because we know what the democracy is. So learn from Poland. Be like Poland. Thank you very much.
Now that is a man who loves his country, and I wish we had politicians who would stand up for its people like that. But now that we had that interruption out of the way, let's get back to the original video. Now again, I'm all for immigration. As I've said before, my parents were immigrants. It's the only reason I'm here. But there has to be a proper process, and we can't be changing too much of what makes Canada Canada. Yes, we are a bit of a melting pot. We're allowed to take in different groups and different cultures and everything like that. But when the numbers start to get out of control, we might need to pump the brakes a little bit and find out what is what, especially when all these demands are happening and they're trying to change laws and get their way, when that wouldn't happen in their country. That couldn't happen in their country, especially from a foreigner. Foreigners don't have that kind of power, but apparently in Canada they do. But hey, as always, this is just my opinion. Love to hear from you guys. Let me know what you think about all this in the comment section below. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button, and as always, I'll catch you guys on the next one. Thanks so much.